So Allah gave Sulaiman salam death when he was watching over jinns like this. And he died. Hold on, pay attention. He died. Now the jinns thought that he's still looking over us. He's still watching over us, and they kept working. They kept working. They kept doing their work. They kept lifting the heavy stuff. They kept doing all that hard work. And he kept it like this. Many days passed. Everybody thought that he's still watching over them. And they kept working. After many days, Allah sent an ant. Allah sent them. The ant started to eat and nibble at the base of the stick. Eat and nibble at the base of the stick. And after the stick was eaten up from the bottom, the stick fell down, and Sulaiman salam also fell down. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, you have to respond when someone does salam. MashaAllah. So today we are doing another story which is a continuation of last week's story. Last week we discussed the story of Dawood alayhi salam. Okay, and today we have the story of his son. Now who was son of Dawood alayhi salam? Sulaiman alayhi salam. So the father killed Jalut. Dawood alayhi salam killed Jalut, and then Allah gave him a kingdom. Allah made him a Nabi, a prophet, and Allah gave him knowledge. Now his son Sulaiman alayhi salam was also a king and a prophet. And Sulaiman alayhi salam was special because he had made a dua to Allah. And what was his dua? That his dua was? The dua of Sulaiman alayhi salam was, Ya Allah, give me a kingdom that no one should have after me. Give me such a kingdom, such a powerful and strong kingdom. Yeah, such a powerful and strong kingdom. So Allah granted him his wish, and Allah gave him a kingdom which was vast. He ruled over men, animals, birds, winds, clouds, and the jinns. So nobody can control the jinns, but Allah gave Sulaiman alayhi salam the power, and he controlled the jinns. Now who are the jinns? Who are the jinns? Who are the jinns? Jinns are a creation of Allah. Allah has created human beings like us, you and me, and we have been created with mud. Allah has created the animals and the birds and the children, everybody from the mud. But Allah has created one more creation, and who are they? The jinns. And the jinns have been created from fire. Smokeless fire, a fire that has no smoke, you understand? And shaitan is from the jinns. He's a jinn. So nobody could control them, but Allah gave Sulaiman alayhi salam the power to control the jinns. Yeah, and the jinns used to obey him and fear him and do what he wanted them to do. Yeah, they would do hard. Now jinns are powerful. Jinns are powerful. Yeah, they can do more work than a human being, much more work, and they're much faster as well. They can go from one place to another very fast. So they used to do all the hard work for Sulaiman alayhi salam. They would work on his buildings. They would work in his mines. They would mine copper and iron and other metals from the earth. This is heavy work. They would lift big boulders and rocks for him. Yeah, they would make huge cauldrons for him. What are cauldrons? What are cauldrons? Cauldrons are huge utensils in which you cook. Yeah, these are the cauldrons. So they used to work for him. And if they disobeyed Sulaiman alayhi salam, the jinns, so what did Allah do? Allah punished them with fire. A fire would hit them and they would be punished by fire. So these jinns were under the control of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And we have a very interesting story. Now in those days, people used to think that jinns are all powerful. Jinns are all? Because they are invisible. They are invisible. We cannot see them, but they can see us. Better pay attention here. Yeah? We cannot see them, but they can see us. So people are saying they are all powerful and they have the knowledge of the unseen and they can know the future. People had this misconception. They used to think the jinns can do everything. They had this misconception. They are all powerful. They can look into the future and they know what the unseen is all about. But Allah through Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah made people aware of the fact. And the fact was the jinns are not all powerful. Now what happened? Let me tell you. Sulaiman alayhi salam used to rule over these jinns and they used to be afraid of him. They used to be afraid of him. They used to be scared of him. So one day what happened? Sulaiman alayhi salam, one day what happened? Sulaiman alayhi salam was sitting on a chair with his stick, resting on his stick. And the jinns were working under him. They were working in a mine. They were working in a mine. And he was overseeing that. He was overseeing that. He was ensuring that they work. Now Allah, to teach people a lesson and to make it and to let people know the jinns are not all powerful, Allah, when he was sitting like this, Allah gave Sulaiman alayhi salam death. Well, prophets also die. Prophets also, they are human beings. Prophets are human beings and they also die. So Allah gave Sulaiman alayhi salam death when he was watching over jinns like this. And he died. Hold on, pay attention. He died. Now the jinns thought that he's still looking over us. He's still watching over us, and they kept working. They kept working. They kept doing their work. They kept lifting the heavy stuff. They kept doing all that hard work. And he kept sitting like this. Many days passed. Everybody thought that he's still watching over them. And they kept working. After many days, Allah sent an ant. Allah sent an? The ant started to eat. And nibble at the base of the stick. Eat and nibble at the base of the stick. And after the stick was eaten up from the bottom, the stick fell down and Sulaiman alayhi salam also fell down. And it was then that people realized, oh, he's dead. And he died many days ago. And the jinns didn't realize that he died. You understand? So this is in Qur'an, and Allah shows us the jinns are not all powerful. They're not all powerful. Had they been all powerful, they would have stopped working. Had they known the unseen, they would have known that he is no more and they would not work, but they continued working. And they stopped only when the body of Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he fell down, the dead body, and people knew, oh, the king is no more. The king is no more. This is one episode where we have the interaction between jinns and Sulaiman alayhi salam. One more episode. Sulaiman alayhi salam once was sitting in his throne, in his palace. And there was the assembly of jinns and human beings, his darbar. So he was sitting there and he wanted the throne of Bilqis. The throne of? Bilqis. Now Bilqis was the queen of Sheba. The queen of? Sheba. And she was a very powerful queen. Yeah. And they used to worship the sun. And Sulaiman alayhi salam wanted them to worship Allah. So to teach her a lesson, and she was coming to me, Sulaiman alayhi salam, to request him to please accept my friendship and don't destroy us and don't invade us. She was coming to Sulaiman alayhi salam palace. And where was his palace? Yeah, his palace was in Jerusalem. His palace was in Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Okay, so she was coming, and Sulaiman was sitting, and he said, who can bring me the throne of Bilqis? Now Bilqis' throne was famous. It was a huge throne with a lot of diamonds and a lot of pearls. It was magnificent, big, lavish, and it was famous. It was famous. So she was coming to meet him, and the throne was in Yemen. Throne was in Yemen. Now how far is Yemen from Jerusalem? How far is Yemen from Jerusalem? Tell me. It's around 3,000 kilometers. It's around
3,000.
And how much is 3,000 kilometers? How much is 3,000 kilometers? Tell me. 3,000 kilometers is like from if we speak about India, from Kashmir to Kerala. It's a huge distance. It's a when an airplane flies 3,000 kilometers, when an airplane flies 3,000 kilometers, it takes 3 hours. It takes 3 hours to fly airplane. It's a very fast mode of transport. Yeah, 3 hours to fly 3,000 kilometers. Understand? In today's time, with all technologies and everything, 3,000 kilometers. Okay. So Sulaiman salam asked people, who can bring me the throne of Bilqis here in Jerusalem? So one of the jinns, a powerful jinn, and his name was Ifrit. His name was Ifrit. The name is in Qur'an. The name is in Qur'an. Ifrit, a powerful jinn, he said, I can bring it to you before you get up from this majlis, from this assembly. I can get the throne of Bilqis to you before you get up from here. Then Sulaiman didn't answer. He didn't like this response. He wanted it faster. He wanted it faster. So a man from the assembly who was a pious man, a good man, the one who had the knowledge of the book, and they say he knew the most greatest names of Allah. This man said, I can bring the throne to you before you blink your eye. Before you blink your eye. A huge powerful throne. Imagine getting it from Yemen, 3,000 kilometers. He said, I can get it to you before you blink your eye. Oh, now is that fast?
Very fast.
Is that fast?
Very fast.
That's mind-boggling. You know, how can you 3,000 kilometers you go and you come back also before you blink your eye? And he actually did that. He actually did that. Some say that Sulaiman salam, he looked up into the sky. He said, look up at the sky, and looked down. The throne was there in front of him. The throne was there in front of him. So Sulaiman salam had this power. He was given this huge kingdom and ruled over everything. Yeah, the wind that was under his command and control. The wind, they say that the wind used to take him to wherever he wanted, to wherever, and the distance that a person would cover in 1 month, he would cover that distance in the morning. Khalas. One morning he would cover 1 month distance. The wind would take him. They said that he had a platform on which he would sit, and the wind would take him. Now, how can you fly over wind? Is that possible? Is that possible? How can you fly over wind? Excuse me. Is that possible? Was it possible? Can you fly over wind? No. Is that possible? It is possible. How is it possible? The airplane. You sit in an airplane, and the airplane flies over wind. It's a wind that's holding the weight of an airplane. Yeah? Misfit. It's a wind that holds the weight of an airplane. Yeah. Okay, what would happen if you fly an airplane in space where there's no wind? What would happen? Yeah? An airplane cannot fly in space because there is no wind. There is no wind. So it is possible for one to fly over wind. Yeah. So Sulaiman alayhi salam, the wind was under his control. He was sitting on a platform, and the wind would carry him a month's journey, a month's distance in the morning, and a month's distance in the evening. He would come back. So he would travel 2 months distance in one day, up and down. Subhanallah. Yeah, so Allah gave him this power over the wind, power over the jinns. He understood, Sulaiman alayhi salam understood the language of animals. Yeah, he talked to who? He could understand the language of ants. He talked to a bird. Which bird? Hudhud. Hudhud. Hudhud is a very beautiful bird. Yeah, he talked to Hudhud. Yeah, who brought in the news from Yemen about Bilqis? Hudhud. The Hudhud said that he was missing from the assembly. He was missing from the army. So Sulaiman said, where is Hudhud? Where is this bird? I don't see Hudhud. Where is he gone? They said, oh, he's missing. He's missing. Then Sulaiman alayhi salam said that if he's gone without my permission, I'll punish him. And he has to give me a reason. Why was he absent? Where is he gone missing? Where has he vanished? Then the Hudhud came and he said that I went to Yemen and I saw there a lady, a queen ruling over her people. She's powerful, she has a huge throne, and she and her people, they worship the sun. They worship the sun. So this was Hudhud. Then Sulaiman salam gave him a letter. He said, take this letter and drop it in front of her. And then just watch out, hide and watch out, watch her response. How she responds to the letter. So Bilqis, the Hudhud went, dropped the letter, she read the letter, and this was from Sulaiman alayhi salam, and started with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It started with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and Sulaiman alayhi salam said that don't be arrogant in front of me. Don't be arrogant in front of me. Come to me as a Muslim. Okay? Otherwise, the consequences would be bad. So the Bilqis, she called her advisors, her military men, her chief of staffs, and she asked them that what should we do? This is a letter from Sulaiman alayhi salam. He's a prophet, he's a king, he has a powerful army. What should we do? So her men said that we are good at war. We can battle if you want, but it's your decision what you do. But Bilqis was sensible. She was sensible and smart. She said, no, I don't want to fight them. She sent some gifts to Sulaiman alayhi salam, some hadaya, and she said that we want friendship. We want friendship. Better sit with him. Yeah. And make him sit down. And so she gave hadaya, but Sulaiman alayhi salam, he did not accept those hadaya. He said, no, you're trying to bribe me to be my friends? You want to bribe me by giving me gifts? I have no need for these gifts. I have a lot of wealth. Allah has given me a good wealth. I don't need your gifts. And take the gifts back to your queen. Take these gifts back to your queen and tell her that I am raiding my army, and my army is huge and you cannot defend yourself. So then what? It was then that Bilqis decided to visit Sulaiman alayhi salam. She said, okay, I'll go to him with all my advisors and everybody. And when she reached Jerusalem, a very interesting episode happened. Sulaiman alayhi salam had the best technology of those times. He had the best technology. He called her to his palace. He said, come to the main hall. Yeah. Now once she entered the main hall, she saw that Sulaiman alayhi salam is sitting and there is water in the hall. There is water everywhere. So Bilqis, she lifted her garment, she lifted her dress, and she started walking like this. But then she was, oh, this is not water. This is not water. This is glass. This is floor made of glass, solid glass. She thought this was water. So she was impressed by the power and might and by the technology of Sulaiman alayhi salam, and she accepted Islam. She accepted with all her people, and they became Muslims. So this is a very interesting episode about Sulaiman alayhi salam's life. So Sulaiman alayhi salam, he had this power that Allah had given him over the birds, the animals, the ants, and the wind, the clouds, and everybody followed his instructions. He made great buildings. Yeah, he helped people, but he was a very humble prophet. Yeah, he was just. Whatever decisions he took, they were just and fair. And one day, what happened? The army of Sulaiman alayhi salam was marching. They were going somewhere. Now the army had everybody, and his army was huge. His army was huge. Now, when the army was marching, there was a colony of ants. There was a colony of ants, and one of the ants, he heard the footsteps of the army, the marching army. He announced to all the ants. She announced to all the ants that the army of Sulaiman is coming. So you all ants, go back to your colonies, or you'll be crushed under the army of Sulaiman. So this episode Allah mentioned in the Qur'an in which surah? Which surah? Which surah Allah is talking about that? Suratul Naml. Namla is ant. Namla is ant, female ant. So Allah is talking about this episode, Suratul Naml. So what happened, that the ants, they were in the colony, and they heard that the ant has announced that you go back, and Sulaiman heard this. He heard this, and he was thankful to Allah, that Allah, the ants also know that I'm a prophet of Allah. The ants also know that I'm a prophet of Allah. And he thanked Allah, and he was a just king, a very good ruler, and a prophet of Allah. Okay, so this was story of Sulaiman alayhi salam, and we have heard important lessons from it. And inshallah, we will discuss the lessons. What are those? His interaction with the jinns, how he controlled the wind, and how he ensured that Allah was worshipped in his kingdom and outside his kingdom. So with this we come to an end of this story. Inshallah, next week we do another story. Till then, enjoy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.